Hey, what's up guys, KSK here. Welcome back to another video. Now in this video, I will show you how to do boot Ubuntu Linux with Windows 11. Now this guide is one of the safest ways to set up a dual boot on any PC or laptop without any data loss. Also, at the end of this video, I will show you how to remove Ubuntu safely from the dual boot. So make sure to watch the video until the end to avoid any confusion. Now keep in mind, this guide is exclusively made for BIOS systems with MBR formatted drive. Now if in case your system is running in UEFI mode with a GPT partition scheme, now watch my dedicated video on dual booting Ubuntu and Windows 11 on UEFI systems. So please check the description for more information. Now as per my testing, if you follow this video carefully, you will be able to successfully dual boot your PC or laptop with Ubuntu. Anyway, the requirements of this video: you need a Windows 11 running on your PC or laptop. Next, you need an 8 gigs or higher pen drive to create a bootable disk with Ubuntu Linux. And lastly, you need to reserve a free space of 30 GB or higher from your drive. That being said, moving into your first step, open your favorite browser and go to the official website of Ubuntu Linux and download the latest version. Now by the time of recording this video, there are two versions of Ubuntu is available, 2004 LTS and 2110. If you are planning to use Ubuntu for a long period of time, it's recommended to download an LTS version that is going to receive a software updates and security patches for next 5 years. Now if in case you want to explore the latest features of Ubuntu, download a non-LTS version. Now in this case, I would stick to the LTS release. Next up, go to this website and download the Balena Etcher, which helps in creating a bootable disk with Ubuntu Linux. Now once it's done downloading all of the files, place them somewhere on your computer for easier navigation. To install Ubuntu alongside with Windows 11, you need to create a free space for Ubuntu. To do so, open Run and type this command. Now press the return key to open the disk manager. The disk manager is a place where it shows all of the connected drives to the computer. Now in my case, I have only one drive connected to this PC. The drive 0 is my SSD where Windows 11 is currently installed. Now I'm going to use this main drive to shrink a free space for Ubuntu. Now if you notice carefully, inside this drive I have only 3 partitions. The one is named as System Reserved, the main C partition, and the recovery partition. Now I'm going to use a C drive to shrink a free space. Now in your case, you can shrink the free space from any partition. So right click on the partition and choose a shrink volume. Now for Ubuntu, you need at least a 25 gigabytes or higher. Now in this case, I'm going to allocate a 70 GB of free space for Ubuntu Linux. Now once it's done, you can either see it as unallocated or extended free space, which is where we will be installing Ubuntu in a moment. Now go ahead and install the Balena Etcher on your PC. Now once it is installed and opened, connect your USB drive to the computer to create a bootable USB with Ubuntu. Now inside here, import the Ubuntu ISO and choose the USB drive and flash it. Now this process will take some time depending on the speeds of your USB drive. Now once it's done, go ahead, restart your computer. Now while restarting your PC, pressing an escape key or F10 key or F12 or F10 on your keyboard will launch the boot menu. Now from here you can select your drive name. Now in this case it is showing my drive as a Transcend. I'm going to choose this option to boot Ubuntu setup. You can only use this boot menu option if your USB drive is not automatically booting into the Ubuntu setup. Now when you are inside the live setup of Ubuntu, go ahead and click on Install Ubuntu. Now first you need to set up a language. In this case, I'm going to use English as a default language and then click on Next. Now for the keyboard layout, choose the English United States as a default option. The next up in this section, I would pick the normal installation that installs all of the basic tools. And if in case you have a faster internet connection, you can tick this option that downloads the latest updates and installs automatically. Now make sure you tick this option to install any third-party media codecs, graphics, and Wi-Fi drivers. Then click on Continue. The next up, it shows the installation screen. If you're planning to install Ubuntu on a separate drive, you could choose the first option. Now for now, I'm going to choose a something else here. Then click on Continue. Now here you can see your drives and the free space which we have created in Windows 11. Now if you notice, there are a lot of NTFS partitions are visible. Do not touch any of this, which is going to destroy Windows 11. Now we can use this free space to create 3 partitions for Ubuntu. To do so, select the free space and click on the plus button. Now first we're going to create a partition for Ubuntu and allocate a 1 gig of memory for boot partition. Now and stick to the default options. Now choose a mounting point as a boot and click on OK to create a boot partition, which is where we can install a Ubuntu bootloader. Now click on the free space again and then click on the plus button. Now we can use this free space for root and swap memory. Now in this case, I'm going to allocate a 65 GB and stick to the default options. Now choose a mounting point as / and click on OK to create a root partition. Now lastly, we need to create a swap partition. Go ahead, select the remaining free space and use it as a swap area. Now make sure under the file system, instead of an ext4, choose Linux swap, and you don't need to mention any mounting point for this partition. Then click on OK to create a Linux swap partition. Now swap memory in Linux is nothing but a virtual memory. Now if your system is running out of a physical memory, it's going to use a swap partition to store a memory addresses. Now lastly, we need to install a grub bootloader. Now this is where many people make a mistake. Now many users try to override the Windows bootloader with a grub by installing in the system reserved partition of the main drive. Now this will potentially cause many issues for beginners. Now to avoid a messing up the Windows boot manager, we can install the grub bootloader into the boot partition, which in our case is /dev and SDA5. Now this way it won't overwrite the Windows boot configuration data. Now go ahead and choose the boot partition from here to install the Ubuntu bootloader in this partition explicitly. Now once you have done selecting it, click on Install Now option and accept the changes. You go ahead, choose your time zone and create a user account by entering the details. Now sit back and relax. The installation process will take 5 to 20 minutes depending on the writing speeds of your drive. Now once it's done, go ahead and restart your computer by removing the bootable media. Now, as you can see, by default it won't boot into a Ubuntu Linux, which means we haven't messed up a Windows boot configuration data, which is a good sign. Now to access an Ubuntu, we need to add an entry to the master boot record using an EasyBCD tool. Now open your browser and search for EasyBCD on Google. The first link will take you to this page. Now scroll a bit and download the EasyBCD Community Edition. Now once it's done downloading, go ahead and install and open. Now inside EasyBCD, choose Add a New Entry option, then select Linux from here and use the type as a grub2. And this is the standard one for many Linux distro to boot from, and name the entry as whatever you want. Now click on the plus button to add an entry to the boot menu. Now select the edit boot menu option from here. Now as you can see, Ubuntu Linux is added to the boot menu successfully. Now under the menu, I'm gonna untick this option to use the standard Windows Boot Manager. Also, I'm gonna set the countdown limit to 30 seconds. Now within the 30 seconds, if you don't select anything while booting, now Windows 11 will load by default. Now once it's done, save the settings. Now that's it. Now go ahead and reboot your computer. Now here, you're gonna see an Ubuntu Linux added to the boot menu. Now choose Ubuntu Linux to boot into the new OS. Now as you can see, Ubuntu looks awesome, everything works like a magic. Now if you want to learn more about Ubuntu, I will leave a link to the video in the description down below. Just gonna go ahead and check them out. And that's it guys, this is how you do boot Ubuntu with Windows 11. Now as a bonus part of this video, now if in case you don't like Ubuntu and decide to uninstall, then reboot your computer to Windows 11. Now inside Windows 11, open Disk Manager by typing this command. Now here you can see next to the C drive, there are 3 partitions visible which we have created for Ubuntu. Now just go ahead and delete these 3 partitions carefully one by one. Now once it's deleted, you can see an extended partition with a free space. Right click again and delete this extended partition and use this free space into a Windows OS by using an extend volume option. Now once it's done, go ahead and open EasyBCD. Inside EasyBCD, choose Edit Boot menu, then select Ubuntu Linux entry and delete it. Then I'm going to untick this option to skip the boot menu and force the PC to boot into Windows 11. Then choose the BCD repair option. Select Recreate boot files for Windows. Now by selecting this option, just going to go ahead and apply the changes. Now this way you won't face any grub issues. And that's it. Now we have successfully and safely removed Ubuntu from the dual boot. Now if you reboot your computer, you can see it will boot into Windows 11 without showing any boot menu. Now this is how you properly set up a dual boot of Windows 11 and Ubuntu on the BIOS systems. Now if in case you want to see a dual booting Ubuntu and Windows 11 on the UEFI system, now I made a separate video, just gonna go ahead check the description for more information. And that's pretty much it. If in case you like this video, hit the thumbs up button down there and don't forget to subscribe this channel and consider hitting the bell icon to get notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks for watching this video. This has been KSK Rahul. I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.